In case you didn't know, this article is published by Vogue recently, and the title is deliberately framed in a way that seems like the value of having a boyfriend has depreciated over the years. Honestly, it can be quite misleading because it sounds like all men are trash, but it's not. In fact, it highlights the social impact of having a boyfriend these days in terms of the benefits and consequences. Most importantly, it talks about the major cultural shift behind a woman's freedom of choice. And what I love about this is that it actually feels like a real choice. If a woman is in a relationship now, it's not because she has to be, but it's because she wants to be. Let's get right into it. When I first came across this article on Vogue, the very first thing that popped up in my mind was, wow, it took this long for people to realize that having a partner does not define a woman's worth or social status. Honestly, I don't think the point is having a boyfriend in itself is embarrassing. I think it's having a boyfriend just to say you have one is embarrassing. Also, the reason why this article has been stuck in my head is because it reminds us that for decades, society has forced women to feel like they have to have a boyfriend in order to be accepted into society. Let's be real, more than 90% of the time I was out with my friends, people will not hesitate to shove down our throats by asking personal questions like, "Are you seeing anyone?" Or, "How's dating? Are you on the apps?" as a convo starter. The truth is, it can be quite frustrating because it's 2025 and I honestly can't believe that women are still labeled based on whether we have a boyfriend. Being in a relationship is no longer seen as an achievement, but rather an option. It also doesn't help when most women are still faced with family pressure to settle down before 30. I know you may not want to hear this, but women should not settle just to have a boyfriend for the sake of having one. And just so you know, everyone can tell if you are desperate for a boyfriend by the amount of shit you are willing to put up with. By the way, a lot of men can be embarrassing if they don't work on themselves. The same goes for women. For centuries, having a boyfriend has always been a huge status symbol in a way that having a girlfriend is not. Ever since the rise of social media in the early 2000s, we often see women constantly posting about their boyfriends, showing them off, sharing about their relationship publicly, and talking about them endlessly to their friends. But you will ever rarely see men doing the same. In fact, a man posting his girlfriend or talking about her is almost humiliating to them. They often see it as a simp behavior that is looked down upon by other men. Based on personal experiences, my exes could not care less about being seen as a simp. So I could not understand why women get together with men who do not speak about them to their friends or family. Babe, having such a loser by your side is embarrassing if he refuses to talk about you in the presence of others, like as if you are a public humiliation. A real man would love to show you off and speak highly of you in social settings, not to keep you hidden behind closed doors. That brings me to my second point, where male-centered women are absolutely exhausting and boring to be around. No offense, but I'm sure we have all lost a female friend to a relationship. Let's just say that it's heartbreaking because they always lose themselves in the midst of it, and unfortunately, as much as it sucks, it's almost guaranteed that they lose the spark they once had. The spontaneity is gone, every conversation revolves around him, he now has to be included in the once in a while hangouts for some reason, and they happily trade every friend in their circle just to spend time with their boyfriend. All while his routine, his personality, his friendships, his hobbies, and his interests outside of her remain relatively the same. This is what I meant by having a boyfriend is embarrassing. The fact that she loses herself in the name of love. And let's be honest, what happens if they break up? Well, most of the time she crawls back to her friends when it's over without acknowledging the fact that they are just her temporary companion before she finds herself another man to pour her entire life into as if she has no identity of her own. And that's really sad, don't you think? What's worse is, a lot of women date men that literally hate them and don't respect them at all. For instance, the infamous Carrie Bradshaw and Big in Sex and the City. Do you know what's the most disturbing truth about being in a toxic relationship? Very often, these women go into a relationship and it's not about them anymore. Their boyfriend becomes their whole personality. That's embarrassing. On the other hand, why would you be with someone if you are embarrassed to be associated with them? Honestly, if you are worried that your boyfriend will embarrass you, you should probably get a new one. By the way, this phenomenon is not a new thing. I had friends, both men and women, that when they found someone, they just became generally boring. And that's because their identity has always been rooted in their partner's validation that they are willing to dim their light in exchange for love. The truth is, those people I knew were absolutely terrified of being alone and single, and that's pathetic. Don't get me wrong, if you are able to keep your social life and identity intact after being in a relationship, that's great. And I wish more women are able to validate themselves instead of allowing their partner to define them. Besides, this article specifically talks about content creators who lose followers or subscribers overnight just because they have a boyfriend. It can seem almost performative to post your boyfriend online and not actually be mentally or emotionally connected to them in real life. It's just no longer a flex to show off your boyfriend, mainly because everyone who has been in unhealthy relationships knows that most women have to tolerate a lot of BS just to keep a man. Very often, content creators who shift the transition to couples content are viewed as cringy in some ways, so it may no longer align with their followers who have been enjoying their single life content. Back to what I was saying, it's not that content creators want to do it for attention. But okay, let's be real. Some people use this opportunity to boast about their relationship status. Not forgetting, there's another group of women who love to gush about their boyfriend online by posting them every day, and that raises suspicion about one's happiness on public display. However, I believe that most of their intentions are harmless. Content creators are merely doing so because they make money off social media. It's their full-time job, and I'm sure we all know at least a handful of people who soft launch their boyfriend as a classic PR stunt, especially after their relationship goes public and her boyfriend is a famous F1 driver. You know who I'm talking about, Charles Leclerc and Alexandra Saint-Malou. By the way, they're perfect for each other, and I'm very happy that she gets more brand deals, sponsorships, and collaborations after being with him. That's the social benefit of having a boyfriend who uplifts you. Based on the article, it also mentioned that most women nowadays are choosing to hide their relationships to avoid evil eye. Okay, I admit that I find this ridiculous because I think we tend to over-exaggerate how often others think about us. Yes, I know that some people get jealous looking at couples' content online, but I can promise you that if your boyfriend is loyal, no one can ever steal him away from you. I don't care if he has 1 million followers on Instagram, but if you don't trust your boyfriend enough to handle temptations, I guess you need to work on overcoming that trust issue with him. Ultimately, it's the result of women wanting to have the best of both worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as a cultural loser. If anything, it's distorting reality for likes. On top of that, it affects your popularity when you become unavailable to your loyal followers who fantasize about being with you. There are also women feeling guilty for posting and presumably flaunting a happy, healthy relationship when the dating market in general sucks. At the end of the day, posting your boyfriend on social media is embarrassing mainly because some men will embarrass you. Even though the title is about having a boyfriend, this article is mainly about sharing, posting, and creating content with your boyfriend on the internet. Especially after the public finds out about your boyfriend's past, flaws, political views, cheating, or eventually breaking up, that's the embarrassing part. It also does damage your reputation, especially as a content creator, if you are involved with a man who is a public embarrassment. Unfortunately, the Wizard List suffered a lot of backlash for getting engaged to a man child who humiliated her by cheating on her when she was 3 months pregnant. So I guess this sums up why having a boyfriend is embarrassing. After all, for the majority of people, I think you need to spend a whole lot less time thinking about how you appear on social media. Why would you care how you are being perceived by millions of people who don't even know you? Trust me, once you stop taking things personally, that's when you start living your life in the most authentic way possible. We've come to the end of this episode, and I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and bye.